this brings me to the conversation that we had about you just being a month shy away from 4 decades in the industry.
Absolutely. I'm very
How
proud.
does that feel?
It feels surreal, but it also feels so fresh for me because I have managed to deliberately, intentionally keep it young.
I first met you when I was still in high school. And when you came to our school, we had known you as an actor. But when you came in,
Yes.
it's a very exhilarating entrance and experience because you were beating drums.
Yes, ma'am.
And to me, right now, today, it makes sense because I had, gotten the knowledge of your journey in spirituality.
Yes, ma'am.
So now when I think about it in retrospect, that makes sense. That
It made a lot of sense.
Yes.
This man was on a journey already.
Yeah.
Art is in almost like beauty. It's in the eye of the beholder. How you want to define it is how you relate to it. For me, art is life. I have established my character as a brand. I even told my boss recently. And she didn't argue with me, which then suggests that she does agree. Marothi is such a brand that everywhere I go, I am received as Marothi, to a point where Marothi anjisa when I'm not on Skeem Saam.
Will we ever see Marothi back on our screens?
Oh yes, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
We people don't know that I had actually gotten an injury on set because as a martial artist, I'm fascinated by opportunities to do my own stunts. You're almost 2 checks, 3 checks away from poverty.
It's disheartening.
He was talking about something very powerful today, and I agree with him. Asking his own son, saying, if you've made 150 rands from this one project and you think you're loaded, you're going on a shopping spree and everything, in 6 months' time, do you have a guarantee that you'll be employed? He says, nah. I said, dummy, how much you have right now is the 150 rands, right? No, 150K divided by 6 months that you are not sure of. Podcast platform space the forum. Yeah. What is art? Curry!
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of What's Art, and my name is Tuli. And in studio today, my goodness, I am honored. I have the one, the only, Macks Senatla Sarah Papo.
Wow.
Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me. I was listening and waiting for that Macks Senatla. I said, no, she did do her homework. I love it when they do that. Sometimes they can't even get the Macks. I remember somebody said, Macks Senatla, waha, saha, waha,
No, I think because I'm Betty,
yes,
it was really
you would
easy for it to
understand what
just,
it means.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
where at? From Limpopo are you?
I'm from Burgersfort.
Bakersford?
Yes. Well,
Let me tell you
I was
too.
born there,
Yes.
but I grew up in Davidton.
A beautiful, beautiful part of Limpopo. 2 weeks ago, I was emceeing a huge wedding in Burgersford.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And then we slept at some beautiful lodge called the Ultimate. You would know those places.
You know what? I'm
but you grew-
familiar, but
Yeah.
because I grew up this side.
And you've been away from there for some time.
Yes. Ever since I was very little.
Look at me asking you questions.
I mean, please.
Whose show is this?
Not sure. I have to take this over.
Okay,
guys.
Macks Papo, hold your horses.
So I was welcoming you,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
And actually, we just touched a bit on language.
Yes.
So, do you know, off camera, we were talking about how you are not Betty.
Yes, ma'am.
And I thought you are because of such a great command of the language that you have.
I take that as a compliment.
It is a compliment. You
Thank
should
you.
take it as
Thank
one.
you.
And I thought you were half Ndebele, and you corrected me and you said, no,
I'm fully Ndebele.
I'm fully Ndebele.
Let me explain that part, that aspect of my genealogy. Macks Senatla Papo, beautifully designed and arrived creatively at Macks Senatla Papo. I'll tell you why Macks Senatla Papo. Why not Macks Papo nje? No, it wasn't complete for some time until I went on a spiritual journey where then, of course, you carry on your shoulders your people. My people are vast in that I am originally Ndebele, Kaspedi, and you would know Spedi as you are from, we were talking behind the scenes that you are from, Burgersford. And Burgersford, Mapedi Batlari, when I was there, they say, "But what is this that you're hearing? You're not from Limpopo." I said, "No, actually, I'm not. I'm from Mamelodi." They said, "What?"
Yep.
It gets even worse. You are township boy.
Yes.
I am a
That's
township
what I
boy.
said to you. I said, when I made the research, I was like, you're not from Limpopo.
I'm from
actually thought you
Mamelodi
were.
West, D5, go Siatebusu, and I'm so proud to even say Siatebusu. I'll tell you why I say Siatebusu and mention it, because my grandfather used to be what they used to call block money. He was one of those leaders, the local leaders. But let me leave that one and say, I was born and raised in Ndebele, full in Ndebele, Ramatebele, Amletlani la Amukupani, and then my people are from Lefiso, the Bamukupani, Bachua Lefiso, and then the ones that are from Amletlani are from Yombumalanga there in Bosia Buswa there. There's a place called Tabana, but and then it went on to me being also a grandson of the Kekanas, with a touch of royal blood right there. Our people are the Koshjagal Kekana, and then whilst talking about language, I am a great proponent of our indigenous language promotion and development. We actually, as the Northern Ndebeles, and I'm now teaching that we have two groups of Ndebeles. Yes. The Ndebeles are the Southern Ndebeles, the Mambenas, the Mahlangus, who are very famous, the Mtimkulus, the Skosanas of this world. 2 weeks back, you were asking me behind the scenes, how did the royal invitation go? It went absolutely fantastically well, in that I then felt so close to those people, the Southern Ndebeles, the Mahlangus. Dr. Esther Stokana Mahlangu, our living legend, yes, who has actually amazing exported art and culture and heritage Amandebele to the world, to the globe.
Put you guys on the map.
90 years of celebration of her artistic excellence in this industry, in this world of art, culture, and heritage. And I was really invited to that setup. And we are having dynamics and politics around a recognition of the Northern Ndebeles. The Southern Ndebeles are way ahead of us. They have achieved so much as having even standardized their what would have been a dialect before. Ndebele would have been a dialect like ours still is. For as long as it's not official, that it is not, it is still a dialect. Rena re mathopja ba pedi. Rena re leng ba Mokopane, Matebele Mokopane, re pitja ditlou Matebele Makonkwana. Re santse re le go mo e re ke tsebiše go batho ba gago le go wena ke re kgobo kanang mathokohle le tle le kwa sereto sa Mokopane wa tlhogo tša Matebele, ke nna makapane a Mokopane wa tlhogo tša Matebele, ke nna senatla sa gabo madimetša, ke mpuro moso wa ga Mokopane ka re senatla se ke leno le ge le noši kgomolaisa le fete ke a reila ga Mokopane, ke reila ke re tabe ke etša nonyane ga e tabe tša mo le goreng ke tšhaba baditi, ke tšhaba bapedi, ke tšhaba Matebele, ke tšhaba wena Thuli, ngwana kua Limpopo, ngwana kua Burgersforoto. Ke gona ge ke ithata ke tlhaba mokgotši ke fetša ke re Ew.
Beautiful. this speaks to you actually being a poet as well, which is something that we're gonna get into.
Absolutely.
Right?
Perhaps to the end. Right at the
Perhaps.
end. And just
you know,
wrap it up with it.
yeah. And this brings me to the conversation that we had about you just being a month shy away from 4 decades in the industry.
Absolutely. I'm very
How
proud.
does that feel?
It feels surreal, but it also feels so fresh for me because I have managed to deliberately, intentionally keep it young. Even an approach to all the roles that I've played would have been fresh. It would have been a new dawn. It would have been a new opportunity, a new production. So I treat every character and every opportunity to be in any production like a new production and a fresh. And even the performance of every day on set is a new production for me. Keep it as fresh and young and keep it as tight and as exciting as it ought to excite the ones that will be consuming it, the viewer. And therefore, for me, if you keep it that way, you can perhaps internalize that attitude and energy and keep it as young as I have. And hopefully looking as young as I do. And that is not my intended kind of aspiration to just look here. I'm told I don't look my age.
You don't.
Because can
60
I
years.
tell you, I'm a few days away. It's no longer a month. It's just a few days away and shy of making it 60 years in life.
So a few days shy of making it 60 years in life.
Yes.
A month shy of...
No, it's actually a few days as
So
well.
a month shy, though, of 40 years in the industry.
That
So
one is
you are
still also...
You are celebrating soon.
Absolutely.
Before the year 2026.
I'm celebrating 40 years and 60 years of amazing participation in this whole thing called life, as well as my industry. Talking about industry, I was very fascinated, and I'm going to quote Dr. He tells me recently that he's about to be a professor, Dr. John Kani. Dr. John Kani is actually launching, if not launched, just launched an academy of acting and all the performing arts on a level, professional level, where he's now beginning to elevate those that would have, say, graduated from your AVDAs of this world and all those. They still have yet to know what it really means to be part of this industry. Absolutely. He calls and describes it, if not defines it, as just a creative sector. It is not an industry fully, because we cannot claim to call it an industry when it does not manage to employ its participants, that is, artists themselves, fully, that they can say, I am proudly an actor and making a living of it. How many, if you think, and I think we're going that direction, how many actors, if not artists, are really working and making and earning a living out of this thing called the creative industry? They call them creative industries as well. And of course, then they begin to include your music and then the fashion world now. And then now with the advent of AI, a lot more are going to be out of work. If you are not going to be woke and then be with it in terms of trends, the latest developments, and what really makes our industry now run and take, you're going to be left even way behind.
That's true.
And I'm finding that a lot of my peers, my generation of actors, are not able to cope with this thing of now you're going to auditions, which you shouldn't be. Having to be still going to auditions. What an insult it is that you'll be in your late 50s, or a lot of them are even older than me, and then they expect to go and audition or be cast.
And these people have played an array of different characters where you can just go to the profile portfolio
And you should know
and
them.
just see that this is what they've played. What is it possibly that you still want to see from these people that have bled so much for the craft?
You're correct. Their heart and soul bled it out there, poured it out there for the entertainment and the beautiful. And I've heard people say that you guys actually are healing us. You are healers. Some of us go through a whole lot, but just those 30 what, 22 minutes, because obviously the commercial breaks in between. Your daily soap will be like 22 minutes. I learned this way back when I was still at Egoli Place of Gold. But it was exactly, if you now really narrow it down to how long it is, they say those exact 22 minutes help us just get out of our blues, what we're going through, and all the heebie-jeebies that we're going through. And you guys are able to not just entertain us, you're empowering us, you're informing us, you are also healing us.
Educating.
You are therapy, you are educating, and all of that. And so talking about it, I'm saying, unfortunately, my industry, doctor, it takes me back to what I was talking about, doctor. And he says, no, it's just a creative, it's a creative sector. But now an academy like this is aimed or set out to then prepare these enthusiasts that have just graduated, excited. Once I was there myself, very excited about the fact that now I'm working for this really a company that is out there. It's lucrative, and every just about young and old actor at the time wanted to work for this company called Theatre for Africa. I remember Nicholas Ellenbogen, who was doing things like a whole genres within theatre. You would be doing your pantomimes, your musicals, you'd be doing your straight serious theatre, and the speciality that he was known for was environmental theatre. We were doing the kind of theatre that was about wildlife. It was about the animals. It was about wild preservation and all of that. And I became part of that phenomenon at that time. And I'm talking about 1992 here.
I wasn't even born.
In 1991, I am eyed, if not kind of identified as one of those youngsters that are coming out of varsity. This is Wits at the time. It's Soda. I'm a fourth year student. No, actually, they saw me in my third year.
Okay.
In your third year, you're already now specializing.
Yes.
Because they've got a 4-year degree there, out of which you have it's incorporated into those 4 years, your honors. After which you then are qualified to go for your master's, something I still want to do at my age. Yeah.
You can still do it.
I'm going to do that. And I'm going to go on and do my PhD at some stage, because I want to just teach, because I feel that I'm pregnant with a whole lot of wisdom out of it, and a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience that has actually developed itself into expertise. There are areas within this that I'm an expert of. Yeah, like your industrial theatre. I did industrial theatre for 10 years, running my own company.
It's awesome.
Running my own company almost singularly. You know, when you used to have the close corporations at the time, when you could just form a company you could be a sole proprietor. I didn't even have a whole board of trustees, or this wasn't required.
Yeah.
But I went on with your guerrilla marketing techniques and tactics that I mastered just over, trial and error kind of system, and mastered that, and able were to run this Mudapote Productions. And I'm going to tell you what Mudapote Productions is. Music, dance, poetry, theatre.
It's beautiful.
Came up with a style from Wits and from all my experience I got during that Theatre for Africa time. It was a stint.
Was just outside.
Just after.
After varsity.
After varsity.
Okay.
What I then did, I studied this thing, combining my experience from your Theatre for Africa and their style of your environmental theatre, animal theatre. I went on to even call it animal theatre, because a lot of environmental theatre style was based on the behavior and the movements of animals. I remember going to the Kruger National Park at the time. This is way back in 1992, right? Because in 1991, when they saw me in a production where I was playing a horse, they said, oh no, he's a typical guy. He's very fit. I had an 8-pack on campus. No, I'm not exaggerating. I'm exaggerating. Because I used to go to your gym.
Yes.
I used to pump up iron. Yeah, but I also was very fascinated by the physical theater, the physical element of theater. I was fascinated by that. And I did a whole lot of productions at school. Because if I were to go down and now narrow it down to where it all started with all the many productions I was involved with at school, then I have a whole book of a resume of how it started, because some of those were actually were professional productions. They turned out to be professional productions.
I was actually gonna say that your career, obviously, after varsity was quite illustrious, right? And you did speak about you having done the equivalent of what is matric here in South Africa in the US.
Yes.
And what I'm interested in is that you completed your grade 12 in the US and came back and did your Verts degree, right?
Yeah, 4 years. But I spent 5 years there.
Yes. So did you ever get bitten by the bug of wanting to work in Hollywood since you've been there?
That I'd been there, yes.
Yes. Did you ever want to go back there?
Well, reality kind of brought me down to Mother Earth. Reality back home. Because you must remember, Tina, we were some of the pioneers of those things called exchange, international, intercultural exchange student programs like your AFS and Rotary. We were the first bunches.
Yes.
And not that we were the very, very first, but from Pretoria, we were the first bunch. I remember AFS was its first cohort, because Rotary was already in existence. Rotary was there. And so I represented... and I'm going to do highlights there, represented Pretoria District. At the time, we used to have the Pretoria District and that when it was Transvaal. Now that begins to tell you how old I am, which we have already discussed. A lot of times, certain spaces and platforms, I say, the question of my age will be discussed in the next executive
little
meeting.
Clues like
Yes. Now here it's clear, and there's no, airs about it. There's absolutely no shame about it. I would like to believe that I have looked after myself. And I'm very proud of what is imminent. The few days we are talking about, where I'll be really celebrating, God willing, these 2 milestones. I wish I had all kinds of sponsorships and I had already organized it the whole year. I will be celebrating in the magnificent, fantastic way. But I am going to be as realistic as my pocket would allow me. And then next year, I'm going to go big. I'm actually, because then I will be celebrating being in that year. I'll be 60, and then I will also be 40 in the industry. And then I can build up to the end of that, and it'll be a huge Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.
So
Hollywood, did you ever want to?
Yes, talking about that, and you're going to learn very quickly when you talk to me that my mind operates in such a way that I can go a little bit off something that's relevant, but I'll never forget where we left off.
Oh no,
I'll be coming back.
Creative,
I'll be coming back to your Hollywood aspirations. I'll tell you what, Hollywood kind of at some stage almost beckoned. When I was still young and handsome. and very talented. And then I used to belong to, may her soul rest in peace, Penny Chatteris. Just about every actor that was who is who of the industry bore your, I'm gonna just throw names into the mix. Bo Selomake Kanube, Bontati Msheshe. These were some of the actors go Penny Chatteris and associates. And I happen to be one of those that would have been identified when I was in my 3rd year. And then I was recruited. And I said yes before I could even finish. I still was left with 1 year. But forget that one. I come back from the United States of America. This is 1985. Because I went in 1984 as an exchange student. I went to Columbus, Indiana, and just quickly, Columbus, Indiana, in Indiana State. But I then stayed 6 months with an Oriental family. Oriental being that it was a combination of your white American father with a Chinese American mother. And then their boy was a nice mix of the two. The Huntingtons. I never forget their name. Obviously, that's a beautiful and amazing history of where my whole life had a turning point. I'll never forget those people that, contributed to that turning point. Very important one. And then the next 6 months of that whole year, because we were there for a year, as you would imagine, this is a whole year, academic year, my grade 12 equivalent to my matric year. I go on to club that grade 12 with a distinction. I come back with a high school diploma with distinction. How do I manage that? I found that our system, as Bantu education as it was very advanced. I get to Turner, and I find that apart from of course, the other subjects that I'd never been exposed to, like your computers, like your German, which I did. I get my German in A. I get it with an A. Why? Because it's so close to Afrikaans. And I found that because my Afrikaans background was very good, I was a B student and A student in that. I remember I used to just at least get it at A, like B. And then we spoke about Pedi at the time. Pedi also, my Northern Sotho, I got gamma A, gamma B, A, B, like that. So I do my German, I do my your computers for the first time. I'm like, this thing. And it was clapping me. But my maths was good. So I'm getting, and it didn't make sense. So I couldn't actually, then I realized, you are too artistic, Baba. It's not speaking to you as much as you understand the mathematics part of it, but you're not cogniting and you're not aligning. And then I said, listen, put emphasis on your dramatics and your theater and that. And that is why I intentionally said, when I left South Africa, because I was already very active at my high school back in Mamelodi. Okay. I had cultural groups there and everything, and then I had your drama club and everything. I was writing, I was composing, I was directing, I was acting in my own productions until I became like the big boss. Now I said, okay guys, now I'm teaching. That whole thing took root from there. And then I come back with that high school diploma, and there I'd done your soccer. I became very active in just about it. I said I had nothing to lose because I am never ever going to have a year like this in my entire life. Unless if I come back, even if when I come back, maybe to go into varsity, it was never going to be the same. That was a special experience. And then I remember doing soccer there. And I was a star. I was like, okay, soccer key challenge. Back home, soccer is soccer. Those guys called it soccer, but they used to want to call it, because there's football. It's a football. Yes. And then they put a great emphasis on that. And I did for the first time. I did your marathon, but cross country. Your cross country, I remember doing cross country and clapping 5Ks. And 5,000 meters. They emphasized the meters, 5,000 meters, and I was top 5 of that whole thing. And I'd never done that back home. So yeah, you're correct. You go out there, you come back, and then you're thinking, I want to go back sometime. Maybe even go back to Hollywood, because I had now consolidated my intention to come back and really pursue this. There was no question mark. Because even when I left, I'd already been doing Boba travel sketches. I call them travel sketches. Or I was going from one event to another at that level. At birthday parties, your unveilings and everything. And we were traveling around, and I called them travel sketches. Little did I know that thing was street theater. Later, when I was studying and everything, I came across such terms. Oh, street theater king. Oh, no, I used to call it theater. I used to call it travel sketches and everything. So, but then I come back armed with exposure, as well as, of course, this high school diploma. And in addition to that, academically now, I come back with an admission from one of the accredited universities, which then put me instead in position to come back home and not have to go back to high school and finish my grade. Well, then that would have been my matric.
Yes.
I'll tell you why. Because I left my matric in the middle of it. Why? In America, we start a year ka fall.
Yes.
What we'd call autumn here. So July, August was the start of my year. So you'd imagine then that if you look at it as waste, if I didn't go there and make the most of it, it would have been such a waste of those That whole year. Because
Yeah.
if I had to come back and now still have to face your matric, I would have been actually left behind by some of the students that I was beating. So I come back
Yeah.
with all of that, and then I come back ready to now start exploring this thing on a serious note. I don't come back to obviously lend an opportunity that's ready. This is America and South Africa reality and difference here. Back to reality, and then I learned to go what used to be called John Smart's Airport. All of a sudden, the smell is different. The atmosphere is totally different. That whole sense of liberation, total freedom, I shall you. You are actually awoken to the reality that you are back home.
Yeah.
And I have to start afresh, just about to start afresh. I remember actually some of my bad experiences and bad side effects of having been an exchange student in America. I come back here and I'm thinking, and I'm still young and excited with an American twang at the time. and then I get stopped during that time when they talked about Hamba Dompas. I'm sure you remember Hamba Dompas. When they talked about Hamba Dompas, it was the final year of me having to carry Ipasa. Your life book, your Dompas. I remember PW at the time was saying, we are getting rid of this thing. Yeah? And I'm like, okay, fine. I'm thinking I'm free. Then I have it. But I haven't done what they used to call residential stamp, the gewone address. I go to my former employer, boss, who used to give me jobs, garden jobs and car wash jobs in the suburbs of your Pretoria East. I remember Mayor's Park used to be notorious for having police that are not going to want to see a black young man there loitering around, even though they knew that we were there for good reasons. We were there looking for odd jobs to wash a car here, and then I get stopped. They want the gewone address. They want their pass, the Dompas. I say, I have it. I've a lot of documents, because I remember having an appointment to see my ex-boss, Mr. Lazarus. May his soul rest in peace. That old man had done so much for me. He had bought 2 suitcases of Woolies clothes. 2 suitcases full, one new and one old from China. And then he came to my house for the first time and said, I'm very happy for this young man. He was a good boy. It was actually quite normal to just say there. And then he told my mother, may her soul rest in peace, beautiful soul rest in peace, let him go there and dwell. And as a determined and a very committed young man that he is, an intelligent young man, I'm sure he's going to do well. I come back, I have an appointment with my ex-boss, Bankemis, and I just had the appointment. I talked about what we were going to do. He had a job lined up for me. I was ready. I was never going to wait for a job. And then they come, they say, pass and bar stop. And I got arrested.
Whoa.
This is the one first time. And I remember taking a vow to myself and my God and my ancestors, never again should I have to sit and sleep on the floor, because your general cell, you're not even in a cell. But it's where, and it was 1985 at the time, it was your Mamelodi burning, literally. It was during your riots. It was during the time when your 1976 was not long away. And then so the struggle was still continuing. And Mamelodi was one of those. And then I get to be mixing with some of my comrades. They are singing that night. I remember one could never sleep. I'm thinking, how am I going to sleep here? So all you had to do was to wait till the morning after and say never. I remember writing in my diary, because I had a diary, writing, say, never and never again. And it never happened again. God forbid that I be arrested for whatever else. I don't know what it would be, because I know in my deep soul of souls, I have no corrupt bone. If I would be arrested, and I know in my bone of bones, I'm not violent. If I were to be then arrested, it would be that I would have beaten somebody to the pulp or something. And if they try me as a martial artist and I find that I have to defend myself, I will beat them to the pulp.
It's interesting.
If not to death.
You're a martial artist.
I am.
It's crazy, because to me, I said this to you again off camera, that I first met you when I was still in high school. And when you came to our school, we had known you as an actor, but when you came in,
Yes.
it's a very exhilarating entrance
Yes.
and experience because you were beating drums.
Yes, ma'am.
And to me, right now, today, it makes sense because I had, gotten the knowledge of your journey
Correct.
in spirituality.
Yes, ma'am.
So now, when I think about it in retrospect, that makes sense. That
It made a lot of sense.
Yes.
Good to this man was on a journey already.
Yeah, and to me also that speaks to how multifaceted you are. You said
Yes.
you did the martial
Martial arts. Yes.
and then you are a poet, playwright. Obviously, we know you as an actor.
I'm a spiritual drummer.
Yes.
I like to describe myself as that because when I drum, I do not resort or rely on technique only. I hear voices. And some of the beats that come are coming from voices I don't know where they come from. But after all the many years, 22, 23 exact, to be exact, of this spiritual journey, I know exactly where they come from.
Actually,
Those voices,
I want to
those
talk about
beats.
that. Yes, I want to talk about that more elaborately, just a little bit later, right?
Yes.
But then with these things that I've mentioned, which one do you identify with the most? I know you are multifaceted.
Correct.
You are,
It sounds
you
like
are art.
I love
Yes,
that.
you are
We're
art.
talking about art embodiment. I am art. And it's interesting that your podcast is, what is
It
art?
is art. And
What
I have
is
art
art?
with me today.
Yes, I'm an artist, really, to be technical about it. But if we have to define and get into the nitty-gritties and the whole core of the definition of art, art is in almost like beauty. It's in the eye of the beholder. How you want to define it is how you relate to it. For me, art is life. Somebody actually say that. It is indeed life, because do you know that it is not a claim that every just about human being that's living, breathing, moving, in motion and thinking and just breathing, speaking and all, that's art. Like science that it is, biological science that it is. It is art. Therefore, every just about person, anybody that would say, I want to be an artist, they already are. All that they would be doing is to further honing that inclination.
Because it's innate.
It's innate. It's inherent. That if you, and I'll tell you, I will take it back to why it's inherent. Some of the best acting that you can amass as a very authentic, original and deep rooted and spirited actor that you can amass is when you go into the depth of the chambers of the core of your belly and your heart. In your belly, there's an instinct that some of us, the kinds of actors that we have become, have reached to feel that instinctive thing that says, receive that action that is almost like a tennis ball thrown to you in this manner. The best manner that you can receive that action is when you have been listening intently, attentively with your heart, your soul, and your spirit, not just with your ear waiting for your cue. Then you can even take that moment to other levels of delivery. And if the fellow actor is doing the same with his listening and the participation and being present in the moment, because drama, like life, is a series of moments. Each and every single moment has to be respected with uttermost honesty, commitment, passion, and compassion. You need to almost empathize with what the character is going through, the psychology, the physiology, the physicality of that moment, because there's motion, there's a lot of things at work. I wish Professor John Kani is listening to this, because he's very passionate about stuff like this.
We will send him a copy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that moment has to be seized almost 200%, as if nothing else matters. For that time, at that given time in life, your life as a living being, an artist, I talked about just people being artists.
Yes.
You are going to produce some of the best acting. That attitude and energy of mine over the years that I've discovered. Like, I remember Seloma Kekanwe saying many years ago, sharing with me, and me hearing him speak about it consistently to other fellow artists and platforms such as this. When he found his identity within this world, he took everything else that he had learned, studied, because he's a studied man too. He studied in England, did his master's in acting and I think a bit of directing there. And he threw it all away and started believing, after identifying that sort of actor that he is, the kind of actor. You are finding not only your identity, you find your voice. I found my voice. Identity became secondary because it will come. Once you find your voice, how you're going to express this thing that you can't even begin to paint. Can you then trust that it will be received with a certain visual in their minds, to be able to kind of paint a picture from the music and the musicology of this thing that you're delivering with absolute authenticity. And a moment, a true, honest moment that you seize at that time will produce some of those nuances. And hence, we speak about nuanced performance.
Yeah.
It is beautiful. It is art. It is life. And you hear people talk about art is a mirror, if not a reflection of society. But it starts with the artist to be able to paint on that canvas and then reflect to the viewer, the audience. You see, in my world, I talk about the viewer and the audience interchangeably because I've done them equally.
Yes.
When I was still fresh out of SODA, a school of dramatic art adverts, and doing just 2 years only of theatre, almost 2 years. It was 1 year and a half. I was whisked away by Egoli, France Max Films, Egoli, which was the pioneer of your soapy, your dailies. It was the number one for the longest time, number one soapy, because it competed with no one.
Yeah.
And then came your Generations of this world, and then came immediately after Generation, obviously from the same company, your Backstage. And then the rest followed.
Yes.
I remember it was your Isitengo, the Need. And then was a little later was your Sievendelan. And the rest followed.
Yes. Personally, I was introduced to you on Rhythm City as Ivan. And I loved your character.
Ivan Chinawa.
Oh, that delinquent. Loved him.
He was a rebel.
Yeah, he was.
But with a cause.
Oh, absolutely. How did you get
Learn that one? Yeah. That one is one of those ones that I did not have the privilege of being invited, because these days we get invited.
I love it for you.
Yes, we get invited.
Were you still new at the time? Because I know you've done a lot of projects already.
I've done 15 years of Egoli. So as a matter of fact, Rhythm City comes off the feet of your Egoli. I had deliberately taken a break from Egoli, not from Egoli, from the industry.
Oh, okay.
Of the Egoli.
Okay.
And then I was going through a lot. I'm not going to go into the details thereof. It was a transitional period for me. Very difficult, almost dark period. But I immersed my soul, my spirit, my physique, my psychology and everything into meditation, prayer, and just surrendering to life and the break that it gave me. Fortunate I'd done a big project with my industrial theatre. I told you I'm an expert of. I still want to go back and doing it on another level, time permitting. I'd made something like over 2 million, just about 2 million, which would then have sustained me for another 2 years of having.
This is during your tenure?
Yeah, the time that I just took the break. Okay. 2 years of which I had the luxury of choosing and deciding, no, I don't want to do this project. Actually, I'm not even ready to come back yet because after taking that break, it was a sabbatical. I called it a spiritual sabbatical, but it was imposed on me because first of it was social, it was marital, and then it became spiritual. That is when my journey began to deepen. Around that time, and we are talking 2006 because my journey had started 3 years prior. It started in 2003 when I was in my 3rd year of marriage. And you know, our journey is very difficult, and this is teaching to those that are almost kind of aspiring to be part of our world as if it's just fashion. It's a very difficult world, and it's not for everybody, and it's not for fashion. I have to emphasize that. There was a time when we were actually criticized to be, when everything kind of fails, we all flock to being twasad. I'm using that word deliberately. Okay. We go and initiate spiritually and ancestrally, and then it is not for all of us. It's very difficult. And once you go and flirt with that world, you've already just kind of attracted the aura of it all. And that aura is very complex. It's very deep, it's very complex, and can be also contaminated. Because it doesn't always come with the ancestors that are clean and good. Some of our ancestors, yours included, are not good ancestors. So it depends how you are directed or misdirected. You might end up having to go and fetch the wrong ones and then misguide you even further in your life and really mess up everything that you would have otherwise have gotten naturally with the prayer and the power of God, the power of your Creator. And even within that world, there's power of prayer and the belief thereof.
Absolutely.
I'm one of those proponents of the power of prayer. I define prayer as a daily oxygen without which we cannot breathe. Therefore, we cannot live. Can you imagine if you can't breathe? Can you live?
Can't live at
So
all.
Mina, I don't think that world can exist without the prayer, because before we were ancestral and spiritual, we were human beings that were created and were born into this world. We had a fair share of living in a normal, and I mean normal really deliberately. What is normal? World that will be that, okay, there are no people that are busy calling you. There's no imbizo on you. There's no calling on your part. Therefore, why would you then go attract those things far away from you?
So then, would you say then spiritually you were ready when you did get back into the industry and therefore got the role on Rhythm City?
I wasn't ready spiritually.
You were not
I was
ready?
still part of the journey. The journey can be difficult
So were
and
you
long.
being rebellious going back into the industry?
No. That break was not to say that it has to be a permanent break.
Okay.
It was a break. It was a sabbatical. You needed to go find yourself and go listen to your people. And then whilst you are not actually attuned and not guided, because I didn't go consult and then be guided as to how to go about that period. I sort of kind of went on a trial and error basis.
Okay.
But I believed in the one instinctive thing. And that is because my instinct was already very, very trained. I've always been very instinctive in that way. Even at Soda, at Vets, I was one of those very fearless actors in the making, which makes me one of the fearless actors in this country today. I'm very fearless. I do not go and abide by the rules of the trade because I know them so well. I have gone on to now defy them and begin to explore within whatever they mean. What are the hidden truths and secrets? So going back, and I told you how I'm able to do that. Going back to that journey in the break, the sabbatical, what I call the spiritual sabbatical, I felt I needed a holistic approach to what I was going through, because then it's sort of kind of manifested the break and the dark period that I was going through manifested itself in your kind of Western terms as a depression. If I go and consult with somebody, say, when you got all the signs, you are presenting all signs and symptoms of depression. It's very easy for them. They could never diagnose it any other way. These are Western doctors. And then I went and got some holistic kind of healing for something like almost a month, thinking that will take care of that. And that's when I deeply discovered, no, there are bigger and much more powerful and forceful forces. Excuse, the deliberate use of the word force that were at work. All these things you could go and do that and spend thousands of friends, which I did, to go and try and deal with this thing that was then diagnosed as a depression.
Are you working during this time?
No.
You're still in your sabbatical.
In my sabbatical.
Okay.
And I'm able to sustain
it
myself.
then now when you are working and you are in the industry?
No, that became later, Kir. And what brought me back into the industry is your favorite, Rhythm City.
Okay. Were you healed when you got back?
I was healing.
You were in the process.
Yes, I was healing.
Okay.
And I was never going to wait. I was bored now. I was never going to wait because the bark you spoke about was busy biting
you. Yes.
Yeah. The bark will always bite if it is indeed part of the calling. My calling was multifold. Because here I have, if not dual, here I have the spiritual calling that's beckoning. And then I have the bark, that's another calling that is of my world, my art world. So I needed to reconcile the two. So I surrendered. And I said, okay, now I'm ready to even consult. When I consulted, they told me everywhere I went, when I'm already. But they were very honest with me because I was too heavy for them to lie to me. The people I go with, and I always say this, and it sounds like you're boasting. No, they're too strong. You know why? They're powerful. They managed to sustain me even during that dark period, where in fact I even started conceiving the idea of writing a play, if not a film, called The Snap. During depression, you are beginning to flirt with suicide. You suicidal, but in my case, every time that suicidality kind of flirted with me, what I call my spiritual guards kicked in. They looked after me. If I didn't have the spiritual guards, and I'd like to believe because I was busy being cooked and busy being initiated, I think I would have snapped. And you know what snap means in that context. I would have, oh Lord, you wouldn't be having this with me. But can I tell you, I never sat down and fraternized with that, and never allowed to even begin to address it or to even entertain it, the concept of me just giving up. We're the diehards. And I mean, as an ancient soul with a young spirit, I have the advantage of both worlds. So some of my young spirits will say, no, you're going nowhere, Mkalabi. And the Makalab would be saying, no, you are ready, Papa. This thing is over for you. Come. And the whole thing of the other world, when they are there, they're actually calling you.
Yeah.
I've never experienced that, but I've always listened to some of them. And those, I believe, would have been the bad ones. Because they believe in this destruction. They just believe in destruction. The ones that said, no, you are destined for bigger things, Baba. And they were right. Because after your favorite Rhythm City and Ivan Chinawa for 5 years, my world now, my creative world, had a turning point. Things started coming to me. And all of a sudden, I'm getting invitations from such productions. Like, I'm talking serious productions, like your first season of Isibaya.
Yes.
I get invited. And Papo, can you come and come ready, because we have a role for you, and we want you to come. And are you ready? Are you available to come and do wardrobe? I go to wardrobe and say, but what does this mean? But no, before you go to wardrobe, that Angus Gibson wants to just have a little word with you. And then I'm realizing that I'm actually hired here. This is not an audition. I'm not here for casting. And they're talking about what this character is about to do, and this character is just for 3 months. I say, I'm not here for 3 months. I'm going to stretch this character like I've stretched the other characters. Your Ivan China was supposed to be just for a year, maybe now and then come. And I stretched it to the proportions and the levels at which I did. It became
made your own project.
It became iconic. If you think about Rhythm City, you can never forget your David Gennaro.
Absolutely not.
The legendary, may his soul and creative
Rest in
soul,
peace.
rest in peace,
Yes.
Jamie Bartlett. And then you can never forget Miles Villegas, played by yet another icon, Peter Sipuma. And then you can never forget Ivan Chinawa, played by yours truly.
Of course.
And then I realized, oh, there was this inherent thing that was always suppressed by that Western approach from your Egoli place of gold, because there you were prescribed to play it this way. You never had the beautiful authenticity, liberation, and liberty to just explore and ad-lib like I have become a master of.
Yeah.
I perforate, obliterate my roles and my texts, my dialogue to whatever suits, whatever it is that I am doing with that character. And I have seen that I've earned that right everywhere I go. They trust me with that. Let alone Skeem Saam for
It's
almost 10
that
years.
you say they are trusting
No,
you.
they trust me with that.
They don't get frustrated.
They know
with
what
you
you're going to do.
actually. Yes.
I never had such luxury. Egoli was very, 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 very
Strict.
word perfect. You could never come here and say no. I thought they'd call it paraphrasing. You don't come here and pad and add and cushion our lines. The writers were very, very, very proprietary about that. You could never come and do your thing with their text.
Because you were still at the beginning of your career, so the trust thing that maybe they didn't trust you.
No,
there.
it wasn't that.
It wasn't that?
No, not Egoli. Egoli was a school, which I appreciate today, many years later. I mean, even the creator, the producer, the creative brain behind it, may his soul rest in peace, is no more. That guy was a perfectionist. You could never have a fluff on your collar without them picking it up from control. They'll come here and come and fix it. A haircut that's out of line there for ladies, and perfect on makeup and everything. We need to look prim and proper.
Impeccable.
Without any ad-libs and fluffs and that. And they could never talk about fluffing. They could never take fluffing.
So from the
You
creative
came ready.
to how everything looks, to the finest detail.
Yes. Oh yeah, you were taught that way. And I appreciated that school, because coming from Wits, I was 2 years into the industry. I'd done an amazing year of 1992. It started with 1991 when I did that pantomime when I was still in my third year. When I graduated, I remember telling them I'm graduating next year, and I just passed. I got a beautiful, beautiful congratulatory kind of singing and celebration from my own cast, because we were doing a pantomime around December, because the pantomimes are done around that time for festive seasons and everything. I was doing Your African Cinderella. I played the Prince Charming.
Awesome.
Yes. And then, and then you come back into this industry, you realize, wow, that was a school. I remember having directors that would just not give me time of the year, of the day, with their expectations. But also, we were reminded as to who we were. We were just these few duckies. Not even 3 at the time. This is your Togon Chinga. Oh, she's beautiful. She taught me a lot in the industry without even opening her mouth. Just the way her demeanor, her etiquette, her whole posture, the whole conduct around the whole professionalism, staunch and like, very, very impeccable in terms of just the way she presented herself. I remember her saying, Max, we are entering a room. It is chin up and chest out. Siyangena sana. And she taught me Xhosa. She used to lament the fact that I spoke my Xhosa with a twang, because I was still fresh from, having come from America, and then I just did 1 year of your drama, your theater, and then now I'm entering the world of. You understand? It was very immediate, almost.
Yes.
They whisked me away from stage. I was still left with 2 weeks of a season of Maru. I was playing Muleka. The very first production and the very first cast, the adaptation of that Mary Bessie Head is Smaru. May his soul rest in peace, Walter Chakela. He's the one who started the whole ball rolling, because after that, there were many, many, many productions. Because remember, it was a set book for schools, and then it went all over the place.
You just honed your skill.
Absolutely. And then I remember entering, this is 1993 now. Around October, I am called to audition. Penny Chattery says, hey, they're looking for very interesting new family, black family, because they're also now beginning to prepare themselves from 1994. So 1994 is beckoning with all that it means. A new black, or let's call it a democratic dispensation, and then with the black government. I mean, that was reality.
Yeah.
And these guys knew about it all. And they were for at least a year or two, they were very comfortably a white soapy. This was for the Tanis and the coloreds of this country, who then had your access to your open time. If you remember, there was an open time between 5 and 7, and then after which all those wonderful middle class, then affording families would then switch on the decoders. We used to brag about the fact that, Tina, to watch us, you have to have a decoder, Sana. It was novelty. Yeah. And then little did I know that it would prepare me for many, many roles to come. Because when I enter any production set, when I get onto any production set, I'm as prepared as they come. Because I will have done my lines, but I will never have over-memorized them. I always leave room for exploration and adventure, and even question, because I will
because you want it to be natural to you as well.
Absolutely.
It shouldn't look rehearsed.
No, it shouldn't be a structure.
Yeah.
For me, it's a structure. It shouldn't be just bones and skeletons and everything for you to consume and then just regurgitate. So writers say, Macks, I am known within the industry to be called Macks, but then I've gone on after my initiation and after this journey, that this journey continues, the spiritual journey, to be called Macks Senatla Papo. Senatla Papo, that's carrying many surnames. The Kekanas that I'm a grandson of, and then the cities that I'm a first grandson of, and then I am also a Sanyani, blood by blood. My father is a Motswana Waga Sanyani, who never married my mother. And therefore, I am Motswana in my mix of blood, and then I am Papo by marriage. My father, my biological father, did not marry my mother, as I say. And then there was a man who gave my mother dignity by marrying her, and then we took his surname, Papo. And because for many years I was a Papo and established that surname as a Papo, I never wanted to mess with my identity and my brand. I've had to then go and negotiate with the ancestors of the Sanyanis and the cities and the Kekanas. Just let's reconcile these things. Guys, bichanang kamilodi jwale kadi khwale, and then lebulele ntwena, so there's unity and harmony within my spirit, that I don't find myself torn apart and khona le mobangu within my soul and my spirit. I cannot afford that, not at this advanced stage and age of my life. Because I remember being given a name for the first time of the Sanyanis, my blood father from that side, at 40.
What was it?
you'd be very shocked to hear, or it's very close to a female name. You know, there's a Nkele, ne? There's a Nkele, a lady Nkele, or a girl or a woman. And then Gaston Nkele.
Nkele.
Nkele lintlwetsi, Nkele. Nkele.
So in Northern Sudan, Nkebele. Okay.
Actually, it's funny that I'm actually analyzing it for the first time. I've never shared this with any podcast, nor any media house, what it really means. I've always told them where even Macks, the name M-A-C-K-S, is spelled as M-A-C-K-S as opposed to M-A-X. The last time I checked, I was everything else but mad. Therefore, I'm not Macks. I am Macks, the American version, because of my years there. Americans call me Macks, like McDonald. There's an A kind of emphasis on the A, and then there's a C that has to come with the Mac. And my name was Maxie, still is. My ID names are Maxie, M-A-K-S-I-E, the Afrikaans here. And I am also Makapan. You know, like the one from Makapanstad, the royals?
Yes.
I am then Senatla, my third name. The man I'm named after gave me all the names. They didn't take 2 or 1, which they've done with other Ditlogolos. He just gave me the entire thing. And I'm told out of many of those that are named after, they've got all kinds of challenges. I say, but not me, in that I've always been in tune with that man. Even when my things were just going fine, even when I was married a couple of years ago, and even before that, and things going well, I was at Egoli doing very well. You got a house, for the first time, you as an actor, you are able to pay a bond. Things like that, things going well, cars and changing and all that. And I used to go and just say thank you. Makapane Senatla, and I'll even find out where he's buried and Kotsiba, the tombstone where it is at, and the grave side, and I'd go and do that. And I believe that he's still with me even today as I understand it better. Makapane Senatla, that I'm named after, will be one of the very first ones to remember, and of course from both sides. When we praise them and appease them, we start with the ones from the mother side. There's a little bit of teaching from the mother side, and then you end up with the father side, because it all starts from the mother.
You say
would have
perhaps
given
those
you
are
birth
your
to
actually your most powerful ancestors are your maternal.
They are.
Yeah.
Because can I tell you, when everything else fails, via even marriage, especially from the your side, you go back to taking your maiden surname, isn't it? And it's not just because it's convenient. It's ancestral. It's powerful like that. Your roots, you reroot yourself and say, let's start again, let's try. And maybe you get married again. But then you would have proudly gone back to, without even apology, gone back to your maiden name.
Absolutely.
And that goes for us too. There's no special reserve. Tina, because we don't get married, we marry other people, we will stay with that. But ancestrally, when, for instance, in my case, I would have been married in a way that my father marrying my mother, he marries us as well.
All of you guys, yes.
You know? So therefore, I would have had to go back to City, my mother's maiden name, if things really went really bad and pear-shaped in terms of me having not done the rituals. But I never had to do that, because as I said earlier on, I negotiated with all of them from all sides. And hence, for the rest of my life, it makes it complicated. For the rest of my life, I would be called Macks Senatla Papo. It makes it complicated for my kids. Really, who are they? Because then they took my surname.
Yeah.
If you think about it, they took my surname, but my surname is not my biological father's surname. And therefore, they might even have their own challenges.
I mean, they might, but I mean, how I rationalize it is that when you were negotiating with your ancestors and they
yes.
actually did reconcile, they are
Reconcile
reconciling with
even
your
with their children,
bloodline.
my
Yes.
bloodline.
Yes.
You're so correct. Because even when I did that, my children were there. They would have been party to that whole
Absolutely.
occasion, that whole ritual, and that. I've never thought about it that way. But certain things, unfortunately, we don't do to the full because of modernity. And we find that we experience shortfalls, and people find themselves having to go back and marry the right way because they didn't marry gantle. I hear a whole lot of those stories. Even as a spiritual healer, I'm finding myself having to advise certain people. I have been, as an MC that I am, on the other one of my many hats, I've been emceeing a whole lot of weddings over years. I'm doing a couple now. I've done a couple. This is my season, the festive season.
Yeah.
Do you know that I found myself marrying people by Maria? I called it a serial wedding. That one, there were 5 people that are being married within the one wedding. They were doing a ritual wedding where they were marrying people that were not even anymore.
Oh, yes. I've heard of that. Yes.
Yeah. I've done a whole range of weddings of all kinds of funny twists and turns culturally, that I remember the other time, just recently, Burgersfort.
Yes.
I was marrying, emceeing a very special wedding where the wedded couple was deaf and mute. How do you begin to do that? We had an interpreter. It was the first time me doing something like that. Absolutely fascinating experience. It turned out to be, because it just went sailingly well. And in fact, so much that I got myself a client that says, hey, with the sign and that, I also want to actually be, be married like this.
Okay.
And I want you to come at MC. And this is happening like in December. I should be going to another one like that. But as I said, it stems from what I was telling you, Gore. There are some things we don't do properly because also of the advent of modernity and most of the Western civilization. What is that?
Yeah.
What is civilization, really? The question of civilization will be discussed between you and I in the next executive meeting.
No problem. So let me take it back a little bit. So you know how you said that was it after Rhythm City or was it after Egoli, where you said now you were invited to productions, you were no longer auditioning?
It was after Rhythm City.
After Rhythm City. So now I'm imagining you were called for Skeem Saam as well, perhaps your most iconic role of Marothi. So how does that go about? Who's calling you?
Correct. You must remember, in this industry, you're as good as your last production. And every production, I told you, I shared earlier on, my attitude is a new production. I forget, without having to be reminded that you're as good as your last production, I forget about everything that I've done. I start as if now this is a new dawn. It's a new opportunity. It's a new production, new everything. And people see that. They feel that, how you humble yourself, even with the glorious, illustrious kind of career profile that you will be having. And where I had come from, and I still do come from, it is not about the many productions that you are in. It's the quality of work you have imprinted on those productions. Absolutely. In my case, I would have been in one production for too many years, which was not fashionable. Back in the day, when you were in a show and you were there at least for 10 years, that's iconic. And the generations of this world used to be able to sustain the actors like Cosmo. Yes. The character, the Cosmo, Ronnie Nyakalle. I see he's very excited. He's gone back. They've called him back to generation. So he's very excited. And I can relate to that. It's always exciting, and it's quite an honor when you are called. Recently I was called back to Skeem Saam after that hiatus of 2.5 years, which was not imposed on me. And
You
I always
chose.
make it very clear to people that my calling was deep and deepened. It was really, really serious. I could never appease them anymore. I couldn't appease them anymore because for quite some time, if you think about the year that I stated, the year 2003, it's a long time away to just 2.5 years of the break that I'd taken about 3.5 years back. Right? And when I got that call, eventually, when I'd been told in 2023, oh, you're available. Yeah, we'll call you. And 2024, they don't call me. Entire year. Because at places like
After your
Skeem,
hiatus?
this is after my hiatus now. Let's call it a hiatus, spiritual hiatus, the spiritual, not the first one, if you remember. This is now recent.
Yes.
As recent as 2002, 2003.
And
last year, I think they'll call me. They don't call me. And so you can imagine, I can relate to Unyakal when they call him back after the break that he had taken. His was not 2.5 years at least. It was shorter than that. And then I get this call when I just finished Umubangu. Must remember I did a stint Mubangu.
Yes.
Just before they.
as Muddy Mitch.
Yeah. Oh yes. I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that. And I remember getting a call from one of my directors from Skeem Saam say, well done, because I was watching you critically as a director to see if you are not going to bring Marothi into that because it was so immediate and I couldn't trace any iota of Marothi. I said, well, thank you. Yes. That's a great compliment coming from a SAFTA award-winning director. So I got called to say, Macks Papo, that call that you have been waiting for is right here now. Are you available, sir, to come back home? What a sweet call. I said, of course, Skeem Saam will always be home. I remember my mother, may her soul rest in peace, saying, whatever Skeem Saam was Philip Badim, you were gifted Skeem Saam by your ancestors. Look after it, keep it, respect it. And I've done nothing but that.
Exactly that. Yeah.
Because even when I would feel kind of done in, left in the lurch, when I'd been told, Uguti, oh, I will tell the writers that Marothi is available. This is 2023, around November. And I'm thinking, yes, January, Ratala. Because it cannot be that they'll call me next month. Because they're rounding off, they're wrapping. And it doesn't happen. Have you ever heard me speak ill of them? And so they just dropped me after the immense contribution that I had made, because I'm one of, or if not part of the success of that damn thing.
I agree.
I've contributed to the success of that in many ways than one, in the way that I would have given it 200%. And I will never, ever bemoan my absence from it and be petty about, oh no, but no. This world and this industry of us, or at least this creative sector, according to Dr. John Kani, is for the bold and the beautiful. What do I mean by the bold and the beautiful? You got to be bold in that you have to have the chutzpah, the guts, the energy, the tenacity, the die-hard spirit, the resilience towards this fickle, this volatile industry of ours. And that's the boldness I'm talking about. The beauty, you got to have the beauty of talent. That thing called talent is so beautiful. It is so beautiful. And hence, I talk about beauty. It's so attractive. Have you seen how attractive, beautifully talented, I'm playing with words now, beautifully talented people are? They've got that thing, that extra thing, which unfortunately in our country doesn't necessarily sustain your lifestyle. That is where the bold and the beautiful character is needed in you, in your personality, to be able to withstand the harsh reality of this industry.
I love that. So now, perhaps Marothi is your most iconic character, right? So how do you reconcile with what we call character overshadowing, where Macks is now synonymous with Marothi. I mean, which of course you have, touched a bit when you said when you played the character of Madimeja.
Yes. Somebody was watching me.
After,
Yes.
after,
Carefully.
yes. So now you are able to tell, no, actually, this person can divorce Maruti.
Absolutely.
And but when as Macks,
What is the secret as well?
Yeah, but people, I'm sure when they see you, they'll say
They see Marothi. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm synonymous.
How do you? I know some actors don't like that. What about you? What are your thoughts?
I don't mind.
You don't mind
Because it is my doing.
It is your doing.
Yes,
That's such a good answer.
I have established my character as a brand. I even told my boss recently, and she didn't argue with me, which then suggests that she does agree. Marothi is such a brand that everywhere I go, I am received as Marothi, to a point where Marothi and Jisa when I'm not on Skeem Saam.
I like that.
I eat off Marothi as a brand because everywhere they call me, they think Marothi, oh, that guy.
That Marothi is you.
Marothi has become synonymous with Macks Senatla. I don't mind that because, as I say, it is my doing. I have taken the character to those proportions, to those levels of execution, so that because of my training, my intense training in this thing called acting, I have studied and almost mastered. I don't want to say mastered because I still want to master. I'm still leaving room to master this craft where I can be so masterful, even though I have gotten accolades like masterful performances. They use those things, and when I listen to them, I don't take them to heart nor to head because I know they can be very glibly used. So I'm leaving room for development and growth. And it is in line with my spirit of authenticity, freshness, and young, and new production, new dawn, all of that energy, all of that attitude. So I'm able to isolate when required. I'm able, and I've mastered the art of isolation, by the way. That is why I always brag about the fact that I'm one of those men who can multitask. I can do 5 things at the same time because thanks to the art of isolation. When I had to isolate certain aspects of me and be able to still perform and allow this to be doing drumming, and then I'm singing and I am dancing and I am acting at the same, I'm narrating, I am really delivering a message with that kind of style, something that I have taken myself personally to actually then designing as my own African new theatre style called Mutapote. Music, dance, poetry, theatre. You see all those elements, I am those.
Yes, you are.
With all my experience, I've then gone on to formulate, during those years, the 10 years I told you about of Mutapote Productions, single-handedly running that company very successfully. I went on to really further hone and design and develop this style. It's an African theatre style, Mutapote. They think it was just that time what makes them excited coming from, your theatre for Africa, and with the experience then they're excited, they're going to forget about it. They're now on television. No, all those things are innate now. They're internalized, they're assimilated, they're part of this art that you call art. The artist becomes, for me, as I said earlier on, it becomes not even a title, because I hate titles. I hate titles. You can never box me into this one genre, this category of actor, this kind of an actor. I'm multifaceted as an artist. I'm multi-skilled as an artist. Therefore, I'm a practitioner. Theatre and television practitioner. Out of which comes all these wonderful heads, like your director, theatre director, your writer, which I also, studied I have been writing before I went on to do that. And then I'm a dancer because I did theater actors movement as one of my special, if not majors, and television being one of them, as well as acting. And out of acting, there was also the third thing that I just threw in, because I remembered that, look, chap, you are here. These are 5 years of your young life, your adversity of the privilege of being paid for. Now we went to Tubo Varsity, went to Tubo Vets when we're still talking about free bursaries. You can't talk about those things anymore. Talk about loans. I remember even already at that time, there were those privileged kids from the suburbs who were at least allowed to get student loans. To now we came from the deep, dusty streets of Mamelodi, came from Boflakfontein Technical High, albeit that I then was exposed to your grade 12 in America and all of that, which changed my whole mindset. Came back having now trained how to think and not what to think, which my Bantu education had done all those years on my mind. I liberated myself in a year. I became a changed, liberated young man with a different purpose, and looked at life and looked at even my country when I came back with a different vision and mission. Despite against all the odds, apartheid and everything still intact, left with at least another, if you think about 1985, still had a couple of years before 1994, eh?
You're a lot.
So I was still in the depth of apartheid. As I told you, Mamelodi was burning. 1985, I'm watching Mamelodi literally burning on television, on an American television set. Was worried about my people, and then at the time we had phones. You had to actually then, and the quickest thing that you could do, or the most effective thing you could do to communicate with your people, was to write a letter and find out how are they doing. By which time it could be late that somebody's passed on, because people were being lynched and everything. We talk about, matches and tires and all that. It was in the middle of all of that, and I was watching it as an exchange student in America, in a foreign land. So you come back ready. Those things say, Max, now you're going to go back to reality. And I remember reality thrown back at me to say, now, welcome back. I remember going to a night vigil, because it was around those times when tear gas was the order of the day. For the first time, still fresh and speaking in American twang and an accent, because I was really twanging, like seriously. They still tell me you still have a bit of...
Paul.
Oh no.
Did that to you?
Oh no, I was not the only one. So it was... it wasn't as if... America was deeply exciting, as well as really indoctrinating, because we're still excitable and still very young, not very, very young, but young enough to be excited by the whole culture. And so if you immersed yourself deep into that, there's no way you're going to escape that. Some of my colleagues, my peers at the time, came back with a big and deeper twang than I had, because then as an actor I had to work myself off that, because then I had accents to have to deal with in different characters. Yeah, well?
Makes sense. So you are again a multifaceted man, right? So that means you are constantly in this cycle of creating and evolving. Yes. So what is next for you? I mean, and also, will we ever see Marothi back on our screens?
Oh yes, yeah, definitely. Okay. We people don't know that I had actually gotten an injury on set, because as a martial artist, I'm fascinated by opportunities to do my own stunts. So I did my own stunt. And they joke about the fact, Max, you are no longer that young.
You're young at heart.
Look at this thing, how you clear your own stunts. It's like a big fat joke now. But somebody is going to remunerate me for my troubles. There's something called workman compensation. And at least I was off.
So you were off because of the injury?
Partly because of the injury, because then they did not know how to handle the whole thing. Okay. Is Max now able to physically work? And then I said, no, but you haven't checked with me. I'm that kind of guy who's like resilient. Meantime, whilst you're looking after me and paying my bills and everything, I'm getting actually very quickly healed without you checking for, hey, are you ready to work again? And they said, no. Because unfortunately, they were also transiting from your Sasani studios, moving literally from Sasani studios to the SABC studios in Auckland Park, the Henley studios. I don't want to say thanks to Mubango actually being folded in that, but unfortunately, I'm going to be deliberately and malicious here. It's really terrible.
Yeah, I understand. Though. It makes sense.
But unfortunately, the reality of our industry is that you are so replaceable. Don't even think 1 minute when a young actor or be it and be this new kid on the block forever. There's always a new kid on the block who's newer than you. In other words, my advice to you is to stay in shape. Keep honing and keep really developing and learning and mastering your craft. We are at the point of mastering Reina because we were advised by some of the best, if not even taught and trained, some of the best in the industry. The Malcolm Peckys of this world and Maisha Maponyas of this world, may his soul rest in peace. The Jerry Mufukeng Amaketa of this world, some of the people that would have planted a seed in me. I remember Jerry Mufukeng coming from as a master's. He had done his master's, and he was a Fulbright scholar. He comes from America with his twang, with his American accent. He talk about America at the time. I don't know, there's something about America that could do that with us. You come back, I remember he came with that accent. And
because you're trying to assimilate.
He was energetic. And today, it's actually not being ambitious. You have to actually crack American accent. Can you imagine if I'm given a role to play a typical American actor character and it's to execute it with an accent? That is your Tucson Bedu of this world.
Yes.
She's cracked that. How about Charlize Theron? How long has she been Americanized, if you like?
Yeah.
I like the fact that she can still come back to her small dorpy in Benoni and speak in the Afrikaans accent, but the twang will always be there.
Yep.
We find when you're in America, you will have that twang. You like it or not. And it happens to the best of us. I mean, if Brad Jerry could come with that. I remember fascinated by this guy with this energy. And he was loud. And he gave us master classes. He came as a master a class conductor, if not a lecturer who would just put it on that advanced level. We're already in our third year. We already are measuring and acting, and there's this man. And then that day, Maisha Maponya came with the African theatre approach and style. And then he would have learned and crippled the HME Lomo theatre of this world, styles and that, African theatre. So it was fascinating. That is why it was incumbent upon myself, having been exposed to all those wonderful styles, let's say Makoa, your Jesse Krotowski's of this, your poor theatre, and if you go into the lab, the whole concept of the lab, and you're cooking this thing, and it's poor theatre, it's at its rawest, and then you've got your Jesse Krotowski, who would then be the proponent of that kind of style, the minimalist kind of, and then you have the contemporary theatre style, and you have your, and your naturalist styles, your people like Arthur Fugard would be masters thereof. If you think I've been talking about Dr. John Kani, because I just heard him talk this morning, Go Power FM, and he's as eloquent as ever. One of the people that I would not want to necessarily emulate, but be inspired by his diction and his articulation of the story, and a storyteller of note. When you speak your thing, he says, you must remember, you're speaking to the multitudes out there. And in fact, your accent must be as standardized and as English as it can be. Unfortunately, it being the medium of communication. And you can never just come and twang and just be all swallowing the last syllables of your words and hope that, we were taught, or you don't tail away the ends of your words. You got to speak it to the end. Therefore, breathing. I'm giving a master class here. Breathing
I love
becomes
it. Yes.
essential.
We are learning. And I like that you are mentioning all these legends. And I know
Oh,
you
these
had
are
a
legends.
you had a little bit of a quarrel with you being called a legend. And you are a legend.
Well, let me explain that. I'm soon to be a legend and
Because
accept
of the
it.
40 years?
Yes.
Okay. You wanted to wait until the 40 years?
Correct. Some
Okay.
people are very happy to be called legends after 20 years. It's okay for
You're
them.
not one of them.
It's okay for them. I also believe that to be a brilliant actor, and specifically a brilliant director, you must have lived. I told you about how I associate that with life, acting with life.
Yes.
Live and experience life. Go through the harsh realities, the moments that I spoke about, life being like drama, a series of moments. If you haven't experienced, witnessed, seized those moments, I don't know how you can execute and, as a matter of fact, present those moments as real and as original and authentic as they can be.
Okay, so by the time this episode comes out, you'll be a legend already.
Oh, yes, I will be.
Yes.
So I was saying, no, I'm not a legend, but now it's
Not
getting
now.
closer.
But
And I'll
by
be a
the time
legend.
it comes out, he will be a legend.
I'll be official.
Yes. So I want to know, what is it that you'd like to be remembered as? And I know you are still living this art, which is
Oh,
life.
God forbid, give me another 20 years.
Okay.
I don't die.
So what are we doing in these 20 years, and what would you like to leave as your legacy?
Absolutely. For the longest time, I've known what I wanted to leave behind as my legacy, but it has been evolving. And for the longest time, I've been grappling as well as flirting, I like that word, flirting with philosophies and kind of mantras and mottos like keep it simple, then it's easy to handle. Now it's no longer just keeping it simple, because reality is not that simple. In this country, this harsh country, especially the almost hostile sometimes kind of society of ours that I find towards artists, like they are just these second-class citizens, if not orphans of this society. At best, we're looked down upon. I have heard many years back when people would just look at us and say, laba ma entertainers. When BE was beginning to set in, people eating money. I remember when we would come as these actors that are at least working, and therefore being recognized, because they would be seeing us at on Egolis of this world and so forth. Later to be the many others that came along. Boisibaya 1, where I played Brigadier Chaba, Nkadimenge. I went on to play Go the Throne. But the Throne, I played that young man who was also royal of the royal Bakwena. His name was Kwena. And then of course Skeem Saam has always been there for almost 10 years. And your favorite, Ivan Chinau, and all those things. But what I'm saying I want to leave behind is that I want to be remembered as having made a significant, meaningful difference to this industry, which is riddled with all kinds of dynamics and politics. Dynamics and politics which have then given birth to what we call, I suppose we want to sound grand, the plight of I'm going to play with words and say the plight of performers, but it's the plight of artists. The reality, and this is a very good note to end it on, the reality that when after all the many years that one would have been all gloriously and colorfully in this wonderful creative sector, thanks to you, Dr. John Kani, what is still aspiring to be an industry, I agree with you, sir. What do you have to show for it? In America, with the many years I've been in the soap world, I would still be a multi-millionaire.
True.
No, not in this country. To an extent that you're almost 2 checks, 3 checks away from poverty.
It's disheartening.
He was talking about something very powerful today, and I agree with him. Asking his own son, saying, if you've made 150 rands from this one project and you think you're loaded, you're going on a shopping spree and everything. In 6 months' time, do you have a guarantee that you'll be employed? He says, nah. I said, dummy, how much you have right now is the 150 rands, right? No, 150K divided by 6 months that you are not sure of. It leaves you, when everything else is actually reduced, deducted and everything, with at least 10,000 a month. Take 10,000 a month out of that, and the rest is your living expenses, your bond, if you have at all. It's that thing is not a familiar reality for many of us. A bond. The last time I was paying a bond was when I just come from Egoli place of gold. Paying a bond, having a house, and being able to change one car to the other, and sustainably so. And even paying up that bond to a point where it was just left so little, we could pay it up or sell it if we wanted to change. Unfortunately, in my case, the change was imposed on me because as a result of a divorce. So those are some of the harsh realities. A lot of us cannot, after divorce, actually come back and be speaking like this. That thing is real. It can actually kill you. But the bold and the beautiful always have a way of surviving some of these harsh realities, harsh difficulties, and just challenges. If I want to be politically correct, these are problematic times and difficult times we find ourselves every now and then, because you don't have the luxury of the steady stability of at least a year, unless if you are global. Not many of us actors have the privilege of globality. Absolutely. With our contracts.
Yeah.
The last time I was global and very having it all nice was back in the 2 years of COVID. 2019 and 2020, I'm 2 years of global with Skeem Saam. Having fun. Don't even have to act 5 minutes, but end of the month, I'm getting my check. Play with words. Check it out. That check can really instill in you and start breeding comfort zone. When you have the check, the stability of a monthly check, maximize the check and see what you can do with the resources thereof, and go further, train yourself. And in fact, don't shy away from paying out of that check extra courses to go and multi-skill yourself. That's what I've done. Today I'm sitting and I'm very glad, and maybe I shouldn't say this loudly because we have what we call jinxing in our industry. It's still a hush-hush. It's still a hush-hush that one of these days there will be a director, a television director, maybe even a soap director, because I will not limit myself to just being a soap director. I will direct, because I've already been directing theater and that, and I had training at Egoli, by the way, of this very thing called TV soapy directing. I was telling them at work, Uti, I'm ready to now take the whole multi-camera directing.
So you're going behind the scenes.
I'm going behind the scenes. Okay. You're asking me where, as part of your legacy, what next, and as I say, in addition, God forbid, the next 20 years don't now reduce me to a couch potato for whatever reason, where I'm now beginning to retire. I'm not retiring anytime soon, thanks to the nature of my work, that in retirement, I can have the luxury of teaching. I can have the luxury of training. I can have the luxury of going out there and talking, because I am a professional public speaker as well. I'm a professional facilitator of topics and all kinds of platforms where a facilitation is needed. I've been certificated by merit or on merit by your UNISA. I come out after those many years back in the day from VETS with an honors degree in dramatic art. And I had said to you, and I'm still saying, Tutela bogolo ka Sepedi ga e robe, like we meant to believe. I look at Aubrey, he's a maestro, Aubrey Sikhabi from the South African State Theatre, the artistic director from State Theatre. Just recently came out of Wits with his masters with cum laude. And I say, Aubrey comes from our class of 1992. So you inspire me, my brother. He's like maybe a year or two younger than me, but we were in the same class of graduation. And I said, no, I'm going to take time off. The sabbatical will be academic this time.
Because you did mention that you want to do your master's.
I want to do my master's, but I also want to do my PhD. I'll go on to do that. I will create those resources to go back there. But also, the opportunities to even study for free are there now. You know, when you have done work, as much work as some of us have done, you already have your thesis. Because Aubrey would have gone there and master in directing. He's a maestro in directing. So you go, it makes it much easier. You know the topic already. You go, you know the area, the area within the industry that you want to address.
Basically, you have, a bit of your methodology.
Absolutely. Because that you've done. You've done in practice. And you can even begin to take it to practice and write about that, the transition from theory to practice and how vis-a-vis the reality out there. What are the harsh realities and the socio-economic kind of conditions under which you would then hopefully seamlessly transit into, okay, now I'm in a position where I can speak, very confidently about it. And how about take it to paper now? How about take it to the level of academia and perhaps teach the ones that are still coming? And that would be part of my legacy to make that meaningful, significant difference in my industry.
Yeah.
That's what I want to be remembered as having done. I'm not an activist, nor am I a change agent or an agent of change within the industry, but at least what I want to contribute is the reconstructive in a very most constructive of ways. I want to play the reconstructive role towards mending this, what I call volatile industry of ours. It needs healing. It needs mending. It needs reconstruction. And I want to be part of that without changing the fundamentals, which should still stay intact. But the problem with this country is that execution is another thing. Policy, we are amazing in many areas. With arts, sports, culture, and recreation being no exception. It's no exception to that. Some of the wonderful policies within my ministry are not fully and magnificently executed.
There's still a lot of work to be done.
There's a lot of work to be done. And we are given a whole array of wonderfully, enthusiastic ministers within my ministries that will come with this wonderful glorious speeches and hope, and they feed us with that. And in no time, that dissipates. Because up there at the top, I really, really genuinely believe that they do get discouraged. These are our offense. Let's call them. When we did them to entertain us. You remember I told you about the BEE people that said to us, and they said to me, my entertainers. I remember that happening back a couple of years ago when I was still at Egoli, and then there we were at the market theatre, when the market theatre was still the market theatre with the culture and everything. We used to go to Nikki's. I see that Nikki's is still there, and these guys were there eating money, new money, when the gravy train was still really full of the gravy, and these guys were eating gravy and looking down upon us. I remember taking that to heart. Very, very saddened by that in fact our own society, when we are up there colorfully and wonderfully doing and shining like stars, they associate with us. And when we are down there, and that is the reality today, when we are down there, even just at the brink of being buried as paupers. We are being laughed at. If all you have to do is to just go visit Black Twitter, go visit your TikToks, go visit your social media platforms and streets, you will see the kind of crap that gets talked about us when we fall on hard times, like as if they don't. The difference between them and us is that they are not known. They're therefore not exposed. The harsh realities that they go through, men and women out there that go through this thing that is familiar to or with all of us called life. Nobody's going to care or worry about talking about them because they don't know them. Fame in this country, it's not a glorious thing to actually think that you have and you can brag about. Fame without fortune, it's a farce. It's almost over-exaggerated, if not... oh man, it's for me, I don't even want to be called a celebrity. I'm a personality because as a personality, I have affinity to humanity and humility. I am constantly reminded, sharply so, by the reality that there's gravity down there that will beacon or beckon anything and anybody that's flying up there. Watch out, young men and men, aspiring ones, budding actors and stars to be, social media and everything. Then when you are up there, remember that gravity is so harsh and hard. If you are not investing in cushions that are going to be down there awaiting your fall from grace, because what goes up there ultimately must come down. The question is, how are you going to land? Is it going to be a soft landing? So don't you be stuck up and be all glorious and untouchable like we see some of our celebrities do. Some of my celebrity brothers and sisters and fellow celebrities don't have time for a picture. Let me tell you, your fans are your employers. They can almost determine your fate, if not destiny, if not your longevity with that soapy you are in, or telenovela, or drama series. So come down to Mother Earth. Be real. This is real. It's life. Be able to humble yourself to go back home if you have to, and regenerate, reinvigorate, recalibrate, redirect, restart, refresh. You'll be amazed what comes out of there. Try it. I have.
I can't think of a better way to just sum up this, right? But before we let you go,
Yeah.
I just want to wrap it up this way, and I'm interested in what you're gonna say, right? Just succinctly, I just want you to have, a world of imagination, which I'm sure you exercise your imagination a lot. I'm sure.
Yes, I
'Cause
freestyle
you're a
imaginatively.
creative. Yes,
My imagination is very fertile.
absolutely, it is. This is evidence that it is. I just want you to give us like 3 actors that you would act with in your own little production. Who would be the director? And I mean, you're allowed to say yourself because you are venturing into that space. And then also let us know what would the story be about and what would the soundtrack to that production be. So let's start with, what would the story be about if you had to make your own little production?
I'm living in that reality right now, and I'm very passionate about my spiritual world, where I would actually then do a very powerful musical production on stage first. I'll launch it on stage where there'll be all kinds of wonderful artistic elements and theater elements of your movement, right? And there'll be lots of drumming, there'll be lots of singing, and there will be lots of sound, because there's sound and there's singing, if not music. And then there'll be your traditional healers as characters in that production, and there will be your apostolic, churchgoers. There will be your shembe. There's a shembe character. There's a shembe even gathering. There will be your Zionists. There's ZCC, there'll be your Moria of this world in that production. There'll be Malop or in that production. Therefore, you'll have the dancers, Babina Malop, and then you will have Abazalwani in that. I am looking at this wonderful, holistic kind of interdenominational kind of spiritual world under one roof. And if you like, this is spiritual unity with great artistic, creative diversity, and with an amazing elements of Africanity, physicality, intellectuality in all of that. All the elements of all these genres, all these styles, all these forms, these art forms, because they are art. Remember what we talked about art? These are art forms. And there are elements, there are exciting elements. They come together. It becomes a movement. One deep spiritual movement that is driving this society, these people of this country.
This would be interesting because
the time can never be better than now. God knows. We've tried all kinds of wonderful and clever, democratic system and this. We've tried your socialism. We've tried all kinds of things. We even tried Christianity. All guys have come and said, hey, let's explore all kinds of other ways to get to God. They've made people drink all kinds of things, and made them eat all kinds of wonderful things that they think will just get us there and deliver us and make us rich and everything. I don't even want to get into that. But I say, bring all of that and let us kneel down with humility and pray to the Maker, who will be just one God or Creator. It might be a she or he or it. That character will be they. Be so not politically correct, but so woke that we call that God they. Because they are it, they are he, they are she, all of that. So that everybody in that movement, which becomes, if you like, you draw parallels between that movement that I am painting right now and the democratic system that our country is following right now, ought to actually go and maybe consult from. And who will direct that? I will have to direct that.
Okay.
But I will not write it alone. There are amazing writers who will then come and I will consult. It will be a very, very powerful consultative process, which my workshop skill that I will have honed from vets and other many places will come in handy. And a lot of productions actually are as a result, a theater production that is a result of some kind of workshop.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, not always is it the fact that actors will be credited for it. But actors are such, and when I say actors, I mean male and female. Get me right. Because I believe there's no such thing as a doctor and a doctress. So when I say actors, I'm talking about my male and female actors in my world where I operate. And it's been like that for many years. We will then come in under that one roof, and then the writers will come in and say, I also have an inclination to this thing called spirituality and everything. The spirits would perhaps put it this way. Let's write it this way. And then, of course, we will then do poetic justice there and then allow ourselves to be creative and exaggerate certain things. I will direct that, but I'll have a musical director who is a pro and who will direct that kind of music. I have in my mind A guy like I've worked with him back in the day. Mekwema Khubata. I'll have Mekwema Khubata as a jazz legend. He'll come and do, and somebody will say, but why from jazz? I've seen his inclination, I've seen his spirit, I've seen his demeanor, I've seen his humility, I've seen his power. Sometimes they come in small dynamites. I will have some of the best choreographers in this country, and I will have a female choreographer and a male choreographer, and then let them work together. Because in my world, the question of gender is very important. Everybody comes from, you can't come and just kind of integrate this whole thing because of just technique. It has to come from a deep place. All of that will be under my direction because I have that vision. That is something that I will then take later after its success, because it's bound to succeed. I'll take it to film.
Who are some of the actors that will be in this production?
I have some of the most powerful actors I've worked with and I've seen, and I do respect their craft. There'll be people that are as deep as the Ntati Msheshas of this world. You'll have the Mutsabi Cheleles of this world, but I've seen some amazing, even young crop that I'm thinking, these people are something else. I remember from my generation, I have people like Bo Mabatu Mhumutsi and them. These are very serious actors. I wish I could still name some of, unfortunately, they are fading. They're old, and this society is not too gentle. And I'm not saying just the society. I'm talking about the industry. What's supposed to be industry? This sector is not too gentle to them. They wait for them when they are fading, and they want to donate a check here and there, just at least to kind of feed you. Where we reduced to donees, that we must then, with a cap in hand, be asking for crumbs to just mend us to our last days. These are supposed to be our glorious last days of our lives, not in this country. I want to, with that production I'm talking about, to create some masterpiece that will employ so many people for another 10 years. Sounds like this great pipe dream. Well, see it at your own peril. Speak to me 10 years from now and say, what happened to that thing that you're talking to Utuli about? God willing, my ancestors willing, and I know they are. It's part of my dream. It will come to manifest.
Oh, it definitely will. But lastly, the soundtrack. Who would do the soundtrack?
The soundtrack would be done by Tlale Makeni.
Okay.
Why Tlale Makeni? And perhaps why maybe even not mix Tlale Makeni's generation with somebody like Ndate Katse, Kefa Semenya, with this huge, amazing experience with soundtracks and that. But there's some young cats who are also doing. I will even go to some of these young cats who are doing amazing work today in some of the soundtracks that they use. But I won't go with the trends. I'll go with some masterful masterpieces that will just be timeless. People that can go deep to that level and go create that kind of soundtrack that will even be soundtrack that for many years to come, students will study and use in their films at the time. Let's round off this beautiful with your question that I am preempting.
Okay.
With just a touch of how I would go in and create a kind of soundtrack for that piece.
Okay.
It would be deeply spiritual, and it would be then begotten from the depth of my guts. And then I'm going to do not a demonstration. I'm going to just allow the moment to take over.
Okay.
and I beacon and appease my ancestors to give me those sounds, or at least the foundations of that soundtrack. Boom, boom, boom. Ba, 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 ba. Ba, 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 ba. Memma motswadi, mme wa ka, ke a go gopola ka sebaka sekhwi. Wena ngwana sete, Egi Agnes, o mošadikuku mmagorena, mme motswadi a theeletšego ka kokoa sepela go le nna ka sebaka seko e le go wena mošadikuku mothakgela mogatša mokgekolo wa yena Daisy Doti Oupa Kekana, batho ba ga Kekana ke le setlogolong sa kua difateng tše telele, difateng tša kua bogošigo sete ka kua batlokwa ba mamphela ke leng go yena setlogolo se gantse ke le bitša Matebele Makonkwana le lena Matebele a kua Moletlane, Matebele a kua Mokopane, le hlakane le bona batho ba ga Senyane, bo tate mogolo yena Ramasaka a ntshwaretšego tšona mekotla masaka a dipheko dikgagara. Ke a le bitša mo le legong gona, ke a le bitša hlakana le ba ga Papo ba e le gore kile ka hwetša ke sepela mengwaga ka sefane sa bona. Batho ba rwele godimo ga magetlaka e le go yena Macks Senatla sa ga Papo, e le go setogolo sa kua ga sete, setogolo sa kua ga Kekana, setogolo ebile le morwao wa kua ga Senyane. Ke a le bitša, ke a le leboga, re a leboga podcast platform space the forum. Yeah, what is art? Curry! Stogos, Tovel, Ashe, Ama, Ku, Re.
Okay. And that is how we end the show. Look, I just want to tell you that I am honored. I am blessed. Yeah, I am really beside myself that you honored our invite to be sitting across a legend, and I hope we have honored you, having you here for you to tell your story. And I hope we do get to see more of the things that you planning to have in the future, your future endeavors. I hope that you do get to do that and fulfill your heart. But most importantly, we really do thank you for all the work that you have put in the industry. We thank you for just giving yourself to art, the contribution that you've given to art, and the fact that you are giving life to life, because you call art life. So you're giving it life. We are honored.
It is my honor. It has been, it still is, my greatest pleasure to have been in your space and your time. It is not something I take for granted. Every time I get invited, and boy, do I get invited to a whole lot of spaces and platforms and I'm talking traditional and your social media alike. The 702s of this world recently I spoke to, and your SAFMs, and it was FM, it was 2000 and all those many others, and many podcasts. Each time I get an invitation such as yours, it's a new production. Like life, it is yet another part of the series of moments. So I take this moment not for granted. I appreciate that each time I'm granted these moments, it gives me an opportunity to share another perspective, because my story is very vast. I can never tell it in one podcast. We don't have such a luxury of that time. Nor do we have even the ability to captivate concentration spans out there. It is only so much that you can ask of the audience and the listeners to hear your story. There's too many stories out there for me to even be singled out of those many stories and many holders and tellers of those stories. It is singularly and particularly an honor. So thank you for having me and having reminded me to remember what art is. All of a sudden, I was sharply reminded that it is actually life. And I hadn't thought about it for some time. Only it was innate and inherent, as you and I have established. So thank you for giving me an opportunity to redefine and repurpose this glorious, this wonderful world of ours, that of the arts, culture and heritage, the creative industry it is supposed to be. I will never shy away from saying that. It is, I agree with you, Dr. John Kani, a creative sector. Perhaps with your efforts, the academy, everybody's got their calling and their gifting, and me with my spiritual world, and they giving me these other platforms to concoct and conglomerate to a point where I can create a movement, perhaps in collaboration and associations with such academies as that of John Kani, Dr. John Kani. We can help create this thing that will benefit all of us alike. Because we have that in common. We are all bugged by this thing called talent, acting, or performance. I will contribute, sir, to you, even if I have to do it for free. I know, though, that you can never sustain doing things with all your 200% commitment without resources. Where resources are available, we can do amazing things. Use us. Let it not just be for expedience. Let it be, again, not with competition, but complementation. Let it just not be about singularity. Let it be for plurality of people benefiting from such efforts.
Absolutely.
I call it black effort. Let it be collective, and therefore we can benefit from collective wisdom. On that very humble note, I bow out and I drop this mic.
Drops mic. I am honored. Like I said, I don't take it for granted either. And we will be there as fans and supporters of your artistry and extending, of course, to other artists. And yeah, let me drop my mic. I don't know if I'm qualified enough to drop my mic, but let me drop my mic.
Mic?
Yeah, it is my mic, so I can do whatever,
Okay,
right?
let's get together. 1, 2.
Okay, bye.